now. Of course, it all could not work because this is my first time trying all of this. So we'll see how how it all
We all
works.
we all heard a message that
We're hearing
said this meeting is being recorded, so I
Very
think you're
good.
good.
All right. Thank you all. I thank you all for attending on such short notice. Things have rapidly evolved over the past week, as everyone is aware, and we are adapting to try to continue at least part of our contest season. The District Executive Committee has voted to continue with the International Speech Contest online. However, due to everything that has been going on, that we have voted to cancel the remaining Tall Tales contest. So we are proceeding only with the International Speech Contest. And this meeting is to talk about what I have learned from the online contest materials that District 4 has put out and from other people who have gone on and posted their information about hosting an online contest. I will also share some of the rules that Toastmasters International has put forth that still need to be followed regarding online contests. So all of this is pretty much has been developed within the last week, and this is what I think is how founders districts can proceed with this. And if anyone is available to help with any of the new roles that we are doing, I would welcome your help, especially for being a new online judge. And we'll go into more detail as to what this process will entail. The contest functionary roles have been drastically reduced. We no longer need hospitality or sergeant at arms. What we do need is a contest master to still introduce each of the contestants, and a new role that I call the tech master. Over here on the right side of the screen, you see the contest master and the tech master. The tech master is someone who is very proficient in the online hosting platform, such as Zoom, which we have decided to go forward with. This person will be responsible for making sure everyone is muted except for the contestant, being able to turn off screen sharing so that people don't accidentally start sharing their screen in the middle of a contestant speech. That actually happened in another contest, and to manage the whole operation so that the other functionaries can concentrate on performing their roles. We still need to have a chief judge, 5 judges for an online area contest, and 7 for division and district. There will also be an additional tiebreaker judge. Toastmaster still requires 2 timers and 2 counters for up to the division level, and I believe it goes up to 3 for the district. Now, before the contest, we still need to do a little bit of footwork. We have to make sure our contestants are eligible and the club is in good standing. It shouldn't be an issue since TI has pushed out the membership renewal dates to the end of April now, but we need to make sure all the contestants have forms so that they can fill them out and then submit them to the contest master. Same thing with the judges. We need to determine for each of these online contests who is going to be announcing the winners. Who do we have say who won first, second, and third? Will it be the contest master? Will it be the division director, or maybe someone on the trio? We need to decide that ahead of time. And finally, what do we do with certificates and trophies now that we're all virtual? Do we mail them out? These are things that the district leaders need to figure out as we go forward. Now, what we can do ahead of time is to hold the contestant briefings and the judging team briefings before the actual day of the contest. They have the requirements that these must also be held online and live if they can't be recorded, but it doesn't say that it has to be on the same day as the contest. And I think it would be wise, as other districts have recommended, to hold these briefings a day or 2 ahead of the contest so people can work out their technical issues, the contestants can test their lightings, the audio, the video without the pressure of having to do it within 10 to 20 minutes right before a contest. We will still have it.
Cliff,
Yes, go ahead.
sorry, I was going to interrupt. This is Christine Brady.
Yes.
I was going to suggest that for those contestant briefings, because of the lighting situation, that we try to do those around the same time that the contest would be happening, just so people can see, because I know sometimes the lighting from the windows changes depending on where the sun is, right?
Right.
So that might be a good thought, even just to have it during the day versus at like an evening briefing, just so people can see what it really does look like, especially for division, um, and for the district level.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Yes, because we notice, depending on which way your camera is facing, when you have a window in the background, it could produce a strong glare or cast shadows upon you. So that's a very good point.
Yeah.
My 2 cents worth, this is Diana D, that you do have the contestant briefing when everybody's available way before, but you could have a short one just before, just for lighting.
Yes, I have a time for like a contestant roll call so that they can make sure right before we start the contest that they can verify that their audio and their lightings are working. So that is built into the schedule, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But thanks for those tips. Those are very good ideas. So we're going to have the contestant briefings and the judges briefings prior to the contest so that on the actual day of the contest, we can focus on just holding the contest.
Hey, Cliff.
Yes.
This is Susan Zeeland.
Okay.
I had an idea for a last-minute judges briefing. If there are any judges who cannot make it to the actual judges briefing, we hold it outside in the parking lot with the judges in their cars. So there's your distancing. And the chief judge can either be in their car or standing outside the car, like, here's your form, here's this, and you can be on the phone, and that way you have social distancing happening and they can still see all the info. So I'll bring that up later, but I just wanted to let you know I had some ideas that might help us there.
Okay, yeah, and we can definitely continue these discussions in the Slack channel as well. But I just got a funny idea that we all go to a drive-in theater and just have these in our cars, but I don't think we can. They're
Great idea.
cracking down so much now that they're not letting us out except to go to the grocery stores. But that would be a funny tall tale.
You haven't lost your sense of humor, have you?
No, that there's. I get weird ideas all the time, but good ideas. I love this stuff. We'll keep it in. We'll make sure I'm taking little notes as we go, and this is great discussion points for the Slack channel.
Cliff,
Yes.
sorry. Why are we talking about doing things in parking lot? Isn't this all remote? This is all on Zoom, right?
This will be all remote, but I still want to allow people to have discussions outside. We'll be able to discuss everything here in this particular session, but yes, I didn't set the scope. This contest, online contest, the way that we are structuring it is assuming that everyone is working within their own home and we won't be going out. So we would like to have been able to meet in limited scope, but this is assuming that nobody is leaving their houses for this and we're all separated. So keep that in mind. That's a good point. All right, we're going to move on to the online contestant briefing. On the left side are some notes that I've put down, and on the right side is a screenshot of what TI has put out for their exceptions to the contest rules for online contests, and it talks about some requirements. It says, and so I just put this out here to show I'm not making this stuff up, but it says that the contestants must be briefed using live audio and video conferencing tools utilizing an online platform. And it talks about some of the things that you're supposed to deal with. And it gives an example for people to use as the quote, speaking area. What should we be able to see as the audience and as judges? We should be able to see at least the contestant from the waist up so that they can do gestures. If I They don't say that there are disqualification rules if you only see their face, but it could impact the presentation and they might lose some of their message or their gestures if we cannot fully see a good portion of them. So this is where we talk about the speaking areas. What's important is that we also continue to collect the contestant eligibility forms. We need to send it to them. They need to scan it or take a picture and then send that on to the contest master / contest chair. Another important thing to do is to have a phone list for the contestants, make sure that we have a way to reach them using the cell phones in case of technical difficulties. If somebody drops out, we need to be able to reach them with a text or with a phone message. Also, we need that ability for contestants, if they wish, in the rare event, to lodge a protest regarding the originality of a fellow contestant. So we need to have an alternate form of communication, and that's going to be through cell phones. We're going to check the video and audio quality. We're going to describe the operation of the timing signals. One of the two timers needs to have a webcam, and they need to be able to display colored cards, white before they reach the minimum time, green when they reach the minimum time, yellow for the midpoint between the minimum and max time, and then red. And the red will stay on until the contestant finishes. There will be no signals for the overtime period. Also, we need to make sure that contestants know how to end their presentations so that the timers can stop the time at the correct moment. It's a different environment. A lot of the cues are lost when you're not actually seeing it in person. So if they conclude their speech by saying Mr. or Madam Contest Master, we know that's the end. It's just another thing, another detail to work out. And on this screen, there's the link. If you go to the Toastmaster website, they'll talk about all the COVID-19 updates. And in there, there's a dated list of all the different updates. Within there, you'll find this document that talks about the exceptions that they have listed for online contests. For the
Cliff,
yes.
just have a question about the judges have to be anonymous, and I'm looking at the gallery right now, everybody's got their name showing, so I
True.
assume.
That's something that you can do within the Zoom software, is to rename yourself so that you can come up with a pseudonym or something else. I think that we may be able to have some system in place. I haven't ironed it out so that all of the contest functionaries appear with a special prefix or asterisks so that the tech master can quickly find the people to move to different areas or to queue them up. So speakers might add in a speaker prefix, or judges just, just give themselves a name as a judge X or judge Y, come up with whatever you want, so that if we need to convene a breakout session of the judges and the chief judge, nobody knows who they are. If you don't speak, they can't identify your voice either. But then the tech master can say, okay, put all these judges into this breakout room, and then they can conduct the protest. But it's going to be important, I think, and that's one of the things I didn't have here on the presentation, to say, yes, for the contestant briefings, the judges briefings, we need to consider renaming the judges.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, so all you guys, if you find your little square with your picture on it or your icon, just hover over it. There's 3 dots on the right and you can rename it. So I've renamed mine to Guess Who.
Ah,
So you put
very
rename,
good. Right.
Yeah, it's
remember-
really
Now
fast.
Judge one. And you can turn that list off.
Okay, just so you guys can play with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do with that list.
Cliff,
Yes.
Yeah.
so I have a question about the date and time. In an email, you said that possibly March 28th, Saturday, and one of my contestants were concerned about that. Um, um,
Yes, those were just looking at the remaining time that we're having to hold our contest.
mm,
It depends on how many proficient judging teams we can put together. That's going to be the key part of, as I go deeper into this process. You're going to see that the real bottleneck is coming up with the, the judging team that's able to do all of this. So it's a tentative schedule. If we can do all of these on the 28th, that was one idea. We might need to spread it out, but nothing is cast in stone at this point, and we can really
okay.
discuss it offline or towards the end of this meeting. But I really was just working with a limited number of weeks, so that was just one possible way we could do this.
Okay, so you kind of answer part of my question that we're gonna have multiple times, so contestant won't be missing the contest then.
Right. I'm thinking that since we're only doing international speech contests, we'll do each division as a whole, and it'll be one big combined area contest. So if you have 5 areas, we'll do all 5 areas in one session, and then each division will be a separate session. Currently, I have it laid out so that 2 divisions are in the morning, 2 are in the afternoon, but as long as we have 2 separate teams that can do this, they could be done at the same time, they could be done at separate days. We just need to work out these details. It's really going to be limited by how many online judges we can
Mm.
find to do this within the next week. So it's a resource issue, and making sure everyone can manage these uh, adequately.
Oh, so you're saying that there's one time for area then?
Right. We're going to get done with all the areas, and then we're going to tackle the division contests. But we're trying to get all of the areas for a single division done at the same time. And I have a little schedule worked out towards as a sample schedule, but none of this has been cast into stone yet. I know we have very limited time left, but we're working as quickly as we can.
Okay, thanks.
So for the online briefing of the judges, everyone must be able to use the platform of choice. We're going to move forward and use Zoom for this first batch of contests. I think everyone has been speaking positively about it, and a lot of people seem to like it. So we're going to go forward with that. You need to have a reliable internet connection and also have a cell phone available for external communication in the case of technical failures. You need to be able to contact the chief judge. If you can't see or hear a particular contestant, we need to know that. And we also need a mechanism for sending ballots to the chief judges and the counters. I have looked at some of the ideas for online tools, but I'm hesitant to introduce yet another unfamiliar tool into the mix at this point. And the one I saw from WordPress is really geared for a single contest, such as a division where all the contestants are in there. You have to set up uh, the contest person or chief judge needs to set up a session, and it doesn't lend itself when we're trying to do multiple areas in there. So we can discuss this offline, but I think going old school and having forms and just taking pictures and texting it, that's what some of the other districts have done. And I think that we should probably go that route so that we still have some familiar aspect, but still also maintain our paper records, because they also said that even though it's an online tool, if that tool has a glitch or somebody accidentally cast a vote that they didn't mean to, you still need a backup mechanism, and that backup mechanism is going to have to be paper and texting. So I'm thinking for this go round, we just simply use that as our primary way of communication between judges, counters, and the chief judge.
When you say use that, what is that?
Use that means to use the traditional paper forms and then to take pictures of your ballots. You can tear off the bottom part if you're doing 4 different areas and take a single picture and then text it to the counters and the chief judge. One idea was that the chief judge would set up group chats or group text groups and include the chief judge, the counters, and then one separate group for each judge so that the judge can then reply in that group, and that one picture will automatically be available to both counters and the chief judge. So there will be 5 different text groups, each including one judge and the 3 other people, the counters and the chief judge. And we'll spell that out in more detail, but that was one way of minimizing the amount of texts that a judge will have to send. So for each area,
Sounds simple.
it sounds like it should work, I'm sure, but we'll have to try this out in a dry run and see how it works. But that was an idea that Anne came up with, and I thought, hey, that's not a bad idea. We'll have to try that out. Takes a little bit of preparation, but I think it would work.
So I have a question because I don't have a printer.
Okay.
And I can't print out paper forms to copy things over and over again to write down judging.
Mm-hmm. Now, before all of this went down, we made tons of copies for all of the chief judges for all of the paperwork, and there's still a lot of that out there. We want to make sure everyone stays safe and doesn't travel unnecessarily. We would have to see if that's a possibility of getting paper forms to other people. But at this point, that was one of the requirements if you're going to serve as an online judge, at least for the first round, that you would need to be able to print out your own forms for this or use some other mechanism.
Again, whoever is
Are there PDF
Zoom, wait a
printable
second,
ballots?
hold on one sec. Whoever says Zoom participant on their window, can you put your name in, please? Because we have no idea who you are. And also, if you have a lot of forms left, or have you distributed them to the chief judges yet?
Yeah, I'm Jessica Wertel.
Hey, can you put your name in the window?
Yeah, I was practicing changing my name on here.
Anyway, Cliff, if you need to mail stuff out, the district will reimburse for postage. That's not a problem.
Right. Yeah, each of the chief judges have their forms that they needed for their areas and division contests. So if we need to get people forms, they need to say, hey, I need forms, and then we can work out those details. But if you're able to print your own forms that for this go round, then that would be a help, and we wouldn't need to try to mail them out. But that's a good point.
Cliff, are there PDF print or PDF fillable forms?
Not that I know of. I know they all exist in PDF format, but something like the judge's ballot is a table with a lot of fields. I don't think those are fillable unless somebody creates one that allows someone to do it.
And you're talking about an editable PDF.
Right.
Yeah. No, they're not.
Yeah, they're not fillable. They don't have
Yeah.
No,
they don't have a mech. Yeah.
For years we have asked for it, but
Right.
and the other thing is I'm not text or photo capable. All I have is a landline. So
Right. And that's
I'm going to continue to listen in.
Oh yeah, sure. And we would, and any information or notes or tips that you can offer are always welcome. But yeah, we realize that not everyone would be fully capable, and so that's what we're also, this is a vetting process to say, I know this is very short notice, the contests are coming up within a week, can you do these certain things? And not everyone will be able to meet them, but maybe we can get enough judges. We need just 5 judges and a tiebreaker and a chief judge to make a full judging team. If we can only come up with 5 judges, then we can do one for everyone to do all day. But if we can now get 10 judges and 2 tiebreakers, now we can split it up into 2 separate teams. You can see where this is going. So it all depends on how many judges that we have that are capable of doing all of these online requirements. This is all new frontier for all of us.
Hey, Cliff.
Yes.
For, this is just a maybe low-tech idea, but you know, we can recreate a judge form in Word, for example, and then type it in and then take a picture and then send it to the chief judge.
That's a possibility. And, you know, like I said, you know, these are ideas that we can continue in the Slack channel, but yeah, keep the ideas rolling in so that we can do it. Not all the detail. I don't have the answers for all the details, but that's why you're all here, so that we can come up and solve some of these issues.
I can volunteer to recreate it in a Word if necessary.
Okay. We'll see how it works out. But I think we have enough printed forms. If we can mail those out to those people who need it, we would be able to do that. All right. There's also a section in here. Oh, yes,
I have
go
a
ahead.
suggestion on judges. So if this happens one day, all the chief judges would be available then to be a judge for another division that they're not currently part of. Is that an acceptable way to do it, or not, because the chief judges see all the contestants? But that might be another way to address this lack of judges.
Right. I think we've done that before, where chief judges have served as judges in other contests. There's nothing that would preclude that. So that would help out if we didn't have enough judges. All right, moving on to the next slide. There's a section in the guidelines for online contests that talks about technical failures. And I just wanted to point it out that they did consider this, so that you can see that the chief judge can determine that if things have gone so bad, they can suspend the contest and reconvene to continue at a later date. Or if it's only a technical difficulty isolated to one contestant, the contest could be paused until it is resolved, and then the person is given an extra 30 seconds of overtime before being disqualified. So there are rules in place to deal with these different technical difficulties that we may encounter in a contest. Just the same as if we had a failure of the timing light, an additional 30 seconds would be granted. Now here is an overview of the contest roles, and I made a graphic for each of the vital roles that we need. It doesn't show the audience, but we have boxes up in the green area up here for the contestants and the contest chair. There's a little icon that represents that these people need to have video webcam capabilities. One timer also needs to have a webcam as well. Everyone else just needs to have audio capabilities. If they have a webcam, great, but chances are the tech master will mute everyone's video just to improve bandwidth and to not cause distractions. The tech master is going to be the one who controls the Zoom platform. As the contest master calls up each contestant, the tech master would then give control to that particular person, so that everyone will then see the contestant, and everyone else will be muted. The chief judge will need to be able to override the mute to call out points of order if needed. But the idea is that only one person, the contestant, will be visible as they are speaking. And the timer will need to have their timer video camera available, showing the timing cards. And the contestants will need to be briefed about how they can pin the timer's screen so that they can see the timing mechanism, timing cards. Now I went through here, and the actual conduct of an online contest is pretty straightforward. Where things start getting complicated, it revolves around the judging portion, and you'll see that's why the chief judge is a larger box in this particular picture. As we go through here, I showed where we need to have communication via cell phones between the tech master, contest master, and chief judge in case there are technical difficulties, or if they need to halt the contest for whatever reason, we need to have cell phones available to do this. If it's not an emergency, you can send a text. Each of the contestants need to be able to reach the contest master if they wish to lodge a complaint or a protest, or if they are experiencing a technical difficulty that they cannot proceed with their contest or with their presentation. The timers need to be able to contact the chief judge and send in their timer sheets. Now, each timer will be using their own timing mechanism and recording their times. If there is a discrepancy between the times and one of the times would disqualify the contestant, but the other one would not, then what other districts have done is to err on the side of the contestant. So you take the time that is not disqualified. If they're both showing that the person was disqualified, then there's no question. But they have decided to err on the side of the contestant if there is a discrepancy in the times.
Question. This is Diana D. The
Yes.
rule book states that one timer will operate the stopwatch and the other the lights. There's nothing in the rule book, I believe, for area and division that want two people timing.
That is correct. The rule book does state that. It is in one of these new, it's in the exception that talks about the timer mechanisms, but here is the section. The chief judge instructs timers on the process for timing. 2 timers are appointed by the chief judge. Each uses a stopwatch to time the contest. One uses the signaling device so that they know when to show the colors. The other maintains and delivers the chief judge the written record. Oh, I see. So that is true.
Can you post the link to that somewhere where we can get to it? Because I think you showed it in a slide, but we can't get to the link in the slide. So if you put it on Slack or something, that would be awesome. Thank you.
You can get to this at the top of the screen if you haven't clicked it to go away, but it goes to the toastmasters.org COVID-19/COVID-19. That will take you to the page that, let's go ahead and just go there so you can see what it looks like. They have a whole page here dedicated with the updates on here, and there's a lot of them that are in here, but the one I was going off of is here on March 12th, club attendance and online speech contest exception for all clubs. In here, if you click on learn more, you get this official notice, and then the online speech contest exemption details. It's only 2 pages, but it talks about this. And so we could still talk about that. Do both send it in, or as it says here, you're right, maybe only one will send it in, but I'm afraid that if that one person is there and the other person didn't write theirs down and the other person said, oops, I forgot to stop my stopwatch, I'd like to have a backup mechanism, because sometimes somebody doesn't stop it in time, or they are so involved with the speech that they forget to stop the timer at the right time. So I'd like to have 2, but we can talk about that.
Thank you.
Offline. But yeah, good point, good point. So here we have the timer sending their information. We need to also have the tiebreaker judge be able to text their ballots directly to the chief judge, because their identity is only known to the chief judge. It doesn't have to go to the counters, it goes straight to the chief judge. And then here's the time for when the judges need to send in their ballots. It should go to the chief judge as a backup, and then the 2 counters need to get those so they can tally the votes each independently, and then we can compare notes all together. And that's where the idea of coming up and setting up 5 separate group chats so that the judges won't have to send 3 texts every time. They only send it 1 to the group that they're in. the judge and the counters will then need to look into each of those 5 separate group chats that they have to get the information out and to tally them up. So if there's a lot of contestants in a lot of areas, the process could take a little while, and we need to build that into the schedule. And finally, the counters need to have a direct line to the chief judge, but I am thinking that a breakout room just for the chief judge and the counters could suffice, and they could tally up the counts and confirm their numbers and make sure that everything is in order. That's the idea I had for that one. So at a minimum, there would be 2 breakout rooms, one for all judges, the chief judge, and contestants, so that a contestant can come into that breakout room and plead their case with the judges. Then the contestant leaves, and then the judges would vote. And then the other breakout room would be used by the chief judge and the counters to facilitate the counting of the ballots. But you can see here, that's where the complexity comes in, is here with the judging team, with the timers, the counters, and all of the judges, and the communication that needs to go back and forth, which was complicated already, but now that we're separated, it just adds another layer of complexity. And this is where I think is the limiting factor for putting on separate contests. We need to have people that are capable of doing this, and a chief judge who is aware of how all this is going to work and to manage it.
And a webmaster who knows what they're doing.
Yes, the tech master needs to be there.
Yeah, when you get to this point, it becomes very obvious how important a text master is going to be.
Right. I mean, it is going to be so important to have somebody who's not worried about all of these other details, but only dealing with technical issues and controlling everything. It would be too much for the contest master to try to introduce contestants and control who's visible and all that stuff. You really need to have the tech master in there.
Yeah, very important.
All right, so this, yes?
This is Gloria, who, my only concern is that the bottleneck is actually the chief judge, because all the communications go, as far as I can see from this diagram, all the communication has to go through the chief judge.
That is correct. They are the nexus for a lot of this information, and I don't see another way around it. So all of us thinking about this could try, offline in the Slack channel to see how we can resolve this. But this was the best I could do, and I figured we needed a visual in here, because before Anne became a chief judge, I never was that familiar with the process. But as we were working through the process, looking at all the forms and seeing all the things that need to be done, I needed to represent that so that everyone could kind of see the complexity involved with the judging process. And that's the part that we really want to get right, so that all the contestants are judged fairly.
Yeah, well, this is Avis from 38 years of experience with judging speech contests, particularly being a chief judge. When I learned that we were going to go online, that was the first thing that came to my mind. They are the controlling factor for live contests. How are we going to be able to do this online and still have that control? And your graphic is very good. And that's why I go back to, it's going to need a good tech master to make this work.
Right, right. The good thing to know is that some districts have already gone through this, so it's not impossible. It's been done. District 100 is going to do the same thing. They made the announcements to go online before we did, but they were also targeting March 28th in order to hold their contest as well.
Cliff, so the chief judge is the single point of failure in this diagram, right? What happens if their technology goes down?
Yes.
That's one way to put it, but yes.
Very well put.
Yeah, so I'm just saying that there should be a backup chief judge that is able to step in and do the function. I mean, just planning. Otherwise, we have to reschedule.
Yeah, that's a good point. Single point of failure, that's the hinge right there. That's
We've
why,
got enough, sorry, we've got enough chief judges on this call. Can we all just pick a buddy and be a backup to them?
As long
I
as all
think,
those, both of you have the same, like the cell phone numbers and validated all the paperwork and the contestants and all that stuff. So you have to
I
figure
think
out.
that would be good to have a backup chief judge kind of shadowing the process, being there in, and being able to step in. So that's a good backup right there.
And Cliff, this is
And
Christine.
remember there is a chat process in Zoom, so the chief judge can be the backup, and the regular chief judge can be talking all the time all this is going on.
How does
remember to use the chat room.
Yeah, I think, Cliff, what I was going to suggest, again, this is Christine, that it might be helpful for the chief judge and the timers and, anyone who needs video to have a hardwire into their laptop if it's at all possible. Because I find, sometimes the technical failure is just because the Wi-Fi
Right.
stops connecting or whatever. That happens at my house all the time.
Yeah.
And so just thinking about having that hard line, if you can, it would be helpful too.
Right. Oh, the good old days when all we had to do was worry about the venue and getting insurance and things like that. There's a whole new, whole new slate of issues that we need to deal with. But these are all great ideas, and I thank you all for being here on such short notice and being able to contribute to all of this, because it's going to take all of us to pull this off. So thank you all for being here. I'm going to advance to the next part of our conversation, which is a sample morning schedule. I have gotten pretty much a good idea of how many contestants we're planning on competing before we made the online announcement. It could be that some contestants drop out because they don't have the capabilities, or they're unwilling to compete, or because of the date changes, it's no longer available. But I'm basing it on the maximum number of projected contestants. And I tried to match up for one team in the morning and one in the afternoon. These could change, but a high participant level division with a lower participant level division. So in this example, we have Division F with 6 and Division C with 9. Looking at this schedule, reducing everything down, I left 30 minutes in the beginning for everyone to come online, check in, deal with all of the technical glitches, because no remote conferencing session ever starts on time. We could open up the room a half hour early so people can get in there, but I did build in some time into the process for a functionary roll call and a contestant roll call, where people could check their connections and make sure everything is operational. This is a very stripped down contest. As it begins, the contest master is fulfilling most of the roles that we normally split out between the master of ceremonies and the contest master. And now the contest master is the primary driving force behind this. They do a welcome, go over the ground rules for the audience to let them know whatever rules there are about how we're going to mute everybody. We're going to turn off everyone's cameras, disable screen sharing. And then we need to also see as a district what the rules are for people taping the broadcast. I know we can control the recording of everything, but we should come up with some guidelines to say, please do not record this contest unless you're recording only your portion of it, so that you can, as a contestant, we need to come up with those guidelines. As we start the international contest, we announce all the contestants in speaking order by area. The timers go over the rules and demonstrate the timing lights, and then we dive right into the speakers, the international contestants. Then we collect the ballots at the end, and then we can do contestant recognition and interviews. And this is where the contest master will need to vamp, just fill in the time to give the chief judge time enough with the counters to tally all of the votes. I only built in 15 minutes here. It may take longer, but that's just what I put in for this particular point. And then there's the announcement of the winners. We need to decide who's announcing the winners. And then there will be a break before the next session, which would start in this example at 10:30. So basically you can run about 6 contestants with the half hour in the front within about 2 hours. If you have about 6 contestants, you go up to 9, it starts going out a little bit more beyond that. So this is a sample projection. You might be able to trim it down. You might be able to gain some time in the beginning if you can cut down the roll call time. But I tried to be a little bit conservative to allow for unforeseen technical difficulties.
This is Diana D. I have a question.
Yes.
In Division F for the area contests, as you have pictured it, there are only 6 contestants. And I think there's only one of the 5 areas with 2 contestants.
Correct.
The contestants from all of the 1 contestant areas, all they have to do is be within time. I don't believe we need to collect any judging forms.
I think we still need to go through the motions and have all of the forms filled out just as a record and formality. But
well, there's no judging involved. All they have to do is qualify time-wise.
Are there any other opinions about when there's only one contestant?
I agree with Diana.
Who is this?
This is Mary Berg. I agree with Diana. To make sure that the functioning of the speech contest goes well, should you only have one contestant, it's pretty much a process where the chief judge goes just to fill out the winner notification form. So everybody knows who the winner is. She is being practical, and we need to be practical.
Of course, but I don't want to, if anybody else has a dissenting opinion, then...
I actually, this is Kathy Hughes. I actually do have an opinion that differs, because if the judges don't at least record that that one person is the winner, you know, theoretically, if they're on time, then we don't know that the judges were, you know, maybe if they were not present, how would you
certainly
be able to?
I see your point. I mean, certainly they can fill out the little ballot and send it in, and then everyone goes, yeah, okay, we got everyone's ballot that says this one person is the winner, and there's nothing to tally up, and then we just check the disqualification form. But it is good to have some confirmation that a judge did listen to the entire person and didn't just go out and, you know, or yeah, something wasn't there. It's just some validation, but there wouldn't be any calculations involved when there's only one person.
Right. We should give them honor them with doing our job and listening to them and voting for them. Follow the same process.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, it does make our jobs a lot simpler, but we should at least have them fill out the ballot, sign their name, print their name as a judge, and say, yes, this person is my number one choice. So I think we'll go forward with that. But good discussion. That's a very good point, because we do want to cut down on the time. So Division F, the contestant, the time necessary may not come close to the 15 minutes, but you never know what happens. So we'll just leave that in there right now. This is just all in a sample and an example. Now for the next one, where we're looking at Division B and Division G, there's a much larger possible discrepancy between the number of contestants. For B, it sounded like we would have 5, and many of the divisions might only have 1 contestant as well. However, with G, it looks like we'll have somewhere between 12 to possibly 14 contestants, because many of the areas are sending contestants for the international speech contest. This one is going to take a bit longer. So that's why I always put the contest, the division with fewer contestants sooner, because they have less of a chance of running overtime. So if we start at 1 p.m., they'll be done by 2:40. We could move up the time to maybe 3, but I don't want to put 2 contests back to back just in case something happens. So this is just something for our district leaders to consider, to take a look at, and to decide how to slice and dice these contests and when do we want to schedule them. But Division G and Division C are the ones that will have the most contestants, the most contested areas where we will need to actually count and tally the votes. Any discussions or comments about these type of things? This pretty much ends the materials that I had prepared as far as how to conduct a contest and possible schedules. So anything beyond this point would be for their district leaders to come up with a final schedule, and for everyone who is able to be a judge to let me know so that I know how many judging teams we can put together. Ideally, we would have 2 separate judging teams.
Are you going to be able to send all this information to us so we have a chance to review it in more detail?
Yes, I will send out the PowerPoint, and if for people who are able to access Slack, I'll put it out there as well, and then we can continue our discussions. But we will need to, for the benefit of the contestants, nail down our dates and times so that they can prepare themselves and our judges can prepare themselves. But this is the end of my formal presentation of what I was able to pull together. I'll open it
Cliff?
up now for
I have a question.
other discussions.
Cliff,
Yes.
yeah, I have a question. Cliff, are you going to do this as one Zoom meeting or multiple Zoom meetings for different divisions?
I was thinking that if we decided to do 2 divisions in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, it would make sense to maybe have one Zoom session, but otherwise then people would have to switch over to the other one. And then the people who were done with, first division then can log off, but the Zoom session would continue as the new people log in. We would have to see if we can shut down people joining during the actual time when people are speaking. I would imagine there's a way to do that, but I don't know for certain. I don't want people coming in as a contestant is giving their speech. Any other time is okay, but I just need a way to make sure that
Cliff, it's
there's no
Lori.
interruptions. Yes, Lori.
Couple things. One, there is a online voting system put together by Online Presenter Club. I don't know if you looked at it. Contest.toastmost.org.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking at, and that's where it just, from what I saw of it, it's functional. But I think it still leaves a little bit to be desired, and it would be hard to set everything up for doing combined areas. It would be more suited towards a division or district, I think, where you only have one single contest to worry about.
You get in your tech team, have somebody look at that and work with David. He's pretty good with the guy from the club that wrote that code, so you might be able to get help from him.
Right.
Next thing is,
yeah. I mean, that's where I was looking at, but they said even then, if that system breaks down, you still need to have a backup system. So since we only have a week to learn all of this, I'd rather just not introduce another complexity into the equation. But yeah, I did look at that, and I think there's a lot of promise for that. But they also said you still need to fill out the forms, and so you would do it after the fact. And I thought, what? Well, if you got to do it anyway, then why go back and fill in the forms afterward? But yeah, I did look at those. And if a judging team does decide that that's the way they want to go, then I would not stop them from doing that. But if I were on a judging team, I would probably go for the old school pen and paper.
All right. There's also one more thing, Slack channel. I'm looking on my web-based Slack to get the link. I can invite everybody that's on this call to join the Slack workspace. Is Founders District, all one word. And when you go into slack.com, but there is a link that I can use to invite you. I know how to do it on the phone. I'm looking for it on the computer. I'll put it in the chat.
Right.
And I'll give it to Cliff to send out.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sounds good.
Cliff, you
Yes.
said contestants can record. Would it be possible to record the whole contest so we can put it on places like the Facebook for members to watch?
I remember that there were limitations on videoing just because in the past, sometimes a contestant's speech taken out of context landed TI in hot water. I don't know if anyone remembers the context of why video was prohibited except for contestants for their own improvement. Does anyone else know any details about that?
It's in the rule book that you can't do that.
That's correct. Yeah, it's in the rule book that there's no video of the contestants. And, we have done it where the contestant can record themselves for their private viewing so they can improve their performance. But at this time, in the exceptions, there's not any mention of being able to record any of the contests and then have them available later.
I'm pretty sure they'll come out with more rules as we go on with this more prevalent online contest system. But for now, I think we need to stick with that contestants can do it only for their own self-improvement benefits. I don't want to get in trouble by posting something. Otherwise, we then need to get signed affidavits from everyone saying that they're okay with having their their speech contest posted and whatever. It gets a little bit complicated, I think. Anyone else? I'd be willing to stick around to answer any other questions, but this ends my formal presentation. If you need to go, I thank you for coming. I will post this PowerPoint presentation onto Slack, and also for the judges that I contacted this morning, I will send out and BCC everyone the presentation as well.
Cliff, I want to just say that you've done a very professional.
Hold on a second.
Cliff,
and go ahead. I heard you first.
There was a question as to what Slack channel, and I posted it in the chat, but I just wanted to clarify that is hashtag online contest.
And I just posted the link to join our workspace in Founders District. So if you click on that join link, you'll get in and set up your ID, and then you can go look for the hashtag online contest channel. Each discussion group is called a channel, and Slack is a collaboration tool for those who don't know.
Yes, and I will put, because there's another contest channel where we started this, but then we created a new online contest channel where new developments are being put into. So I'll put it in there as well. So look in your little chat window for Zoom if you can find that. And I will now stop the recording of this.
Cliff, just 1 minute.
Oh yes, go ahead, David.
Cliff,
sorry.
I just wanted to say that your analysis, your presentation has been very detailed, very well thought out, and very professional. I'm very proud of you. This is a really professional job.
Well, thank you very much, David.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Agreed. Thank you.
It has been a learning experience, and I'm glad to help out with this process. It's very unusual for all of us, and I welcome help and comments from everyone out there. So thank you for that.
I said it before, and I'll say it again. You have come such a long way since the first time you walked in.
I'm glad I got my money's worth out of Toastmasters.
Oh, you certainly did. I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
Cliff, this is Barbara Stickler.
Mm-hmm.
I just had a thought because we were talking about posting the video.
Okay.
Normally at contests, people are able to come and watch their contestants.
Yes.
Will this be sent out to the presidents to allow the other club members to join in if they want to watch the contest?
Yes, we will allow people to come in to watch, definitely. We want the members to be there in support of their contestants and to try to also maintain some sense of normalcy with these contests. These are not secret sessions, and we need to have somebody who run these sessions in order to have enough seats to allow for at least 100 participants, not just 20 or 30 people to join in. So yes, we will make the links available for not only the judging team, the contestants, but also clubs as members want to attend. And we might get larger audiences than we have before. So definitely we want to have contestants and their audience and club members be able to attend.
Yeah, I was thinking this has the capability of increasing the audience at the contests.
Definitely, definitely.
I'm going to be purchasing Zoom licenses for the contests and for the division directors. I'm not sure yet on area, but we'll have Zoom accounts for each of you. That makes it, the free Zoom is only a 40-minute meeting, and the Zoom that we'll use for the district will have unlimited. And I don't know how many seats, 300 is in my mind, but I'm not sure. We'll send out the information. We'll probably be buying 10 to 15 Zoom licenses this week. And I think there's some pricing issue. I'll go online and I'll send out the information. So you guys have a Zoom Pro license for all the work you'll be doing.
Great.
Right?
Good thinking.
Mm-hmm.
This is Mary Berg. I have a question. How did I miss out on the date that we're trying this the first time?
You mean the setup meeting, Mary, like the trial test, or the actual contest next week?
I guess I missed out on any dates.
Well, everything's happened so quickly that we had, in the past week, the canceling of the contest and trying to figure out what we're going to do. This is the first time that I think anybody's really heard of the plans. I've been trying to put things together, but there's other things going on I've been dealing with. So you're not alone. Everyone's just kind of hearing this for the first time. So we're all in the same boat.
So do we have a date for anything?
That's what, after this, we're going to decide. I think the district leaders, we're going to decide on the final dates, but that wasn't the intent of this particular meeting. It was just to share what I found. Right.
So you were talking about we only have a week to prepare. What did you mean by having 1 week to prepare? Maybe I was listening with a different ear.
Oh, yes. To provide some background and scope, it sounds like the district is still holding their online conference on May 2nd.
No, we're moving that out 2 weeks. Christina talked this morning. It just is like right before the call.
I see. Okay. So we may have a little bit more breathing room to organize all of this, but we need to wrap up these 4 divisions to get their area contests done. And then we need to hold 7 online division contests. So,
yeah, my concern is the district contest. If we go online, there'll be a lot of technology challenges as well on recording the division contestants for district. And because we don't know who's going to win, so we have to submit a video to TI, so that we need more instruction from them on what the expectation is on that. And we'll probably need a couple weeks just to get the technology working. So you've got a huge jump on that, and I really appreciate all your effort, Cliff.
Yeah, and just to follow on to part of our conversation this morning between Lori and I about the pushing this out was also for the district council meeting, and that we need to figure out this district council meeting has a lot more higher stakes voting that's going to happen that didn't happen in the fall. And if you remember in the fall, we didn't quite make quorum. So we're trying to figure out how we can make sure that we're very accommodating and making sure that everybody can vote.
Right. We weren't allowed proxies in the fall.
Yeah.
Each invite was sent to a specific person with a link to the meeting itself for voting. So we're going to have to figure that whole thing out next on how to get, because we're going to be voting on a lot of things. The end of year, we're voting on district leaders, we're voting on alignment, we're voting on the what's it called, the operations manual, and there's always something that is going to take some good ability to get to that quorum.
Okay. Yeah, and so in light of this new information, the schedule may change, so please stand by. We'll be publishing dates and times for the contest, and we need to take this new information in and work it into our schedule.
It's every day. You have to
Yeah.
be flexible, super flexible. We're not trying to do this to be to drive people crazy, but it's because of all this newness and figuring out how to really give the contestants the best chance at getting through and picking the best winner. So that's the goal.
Right. All right, I'm going to
And,
officially.
oh wait, Cliff, it's Sherry. Just very quickly.
Oh.
The I'm in Slack and I see the hashtag contest, but I don't see the hashtag online contest. Is that something we need to be invited to, or?
Okay, let me look. I will.
Originally,
I just want to make sure I'm in the right channel.
Might need to open it up.
Sherry, go to plus.
There's an online meeting
There
in
is,
Slack.
yeah, you're already in the contest one.
Right.
Go to the channels, hit plus. Oh no, that's create. Do you have that? Can you see, like, you probably can't see all the public channels? Is that what you're saying? You don't see the
Well, channels just the 75th anniversary and pathways.
those are the ones you're in, but there's a way. Let me find it, because I'm in everything.
Okay.
So let me find it, and then
Okay. Perfect.
okay.
Why don't you find it and have Cliff put it in the instructions and files that he's putting out?
Yeah, well, I'll figure that out, and then I'll get back to you. Here you go.
All right, I'm going to officially stop the recording, but I'm going to leave the message, the meeting session going on if you want to continue your discussions. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cliff. It was amazing.